Welcome to the Fiber Masterclass. You might be thinking that fiber isn't the sexiest of topics, and I do agree. I'm more of a protein guy myself, but that doesn't discount the fact that fiber does play a center role in a healthy diet, which means a healthy lifestyle, and it also does have some cool effects on helping with fat loss, or at least the management of a fat loss phase. And we all know that when you're in a fat loss phase, you can use all the help you get. You'll want to feel more satisfied. You want to feel full. And fiber can certainly help with that. So I think it's worth taking a deeper dive on fiber, just some of the roles it plays, where we can get it, how it helps keep us healthy, and then how it can assist us in a fat loss phase. So it's not as cool as protein, but let's dive in anyway. So a few things we're going to cover in tonight's video is how fiber works, the foods you can find fiber in, how fiber plays a key role in the cardiovascular system and the digestive system. And a key role, by that I mean the health of those two systems. How much fiber do we actually need? Does it play any role in muscle building? Right. And then the calorie density and the blood sugar stabilizing effects of fiber. So what actually is fiber? You might know it's become one of those very popular, I guess you could call it a food, though it's not really. It's a almost a macronutrient in a different way. It falls under the category of carbohydrate, but it's certainly become much more popular, and I think for good reason. But like I already alluded to, it is a carbohydrate, just not one that's actually broken down for energy. So usually when we ingest carbohydrates, we're breaking those carbohydrates down into smaller chains of usable chains of energy, let's call it. And then those are broken down further, released into the bloodstream, and we can utilize that energy very quickly, though some is stored within us as well. This isn't how fiber operates, right? Fiber isn't fully broken down during digestion, meaning we don't utilize it for energy, but it's still very important. So there's two types of fiber: soluble fiber and insoluble fiber. So soluble fiber is more like a sponge. It mixes with water in the digestive tract, and it creates a gel-like substance, which helps to slow down, just killed a fly there, which helps to, I wonder if there's any fiber in that, which helps to slow down digestion, and that slowing down helps to have more of those nutrients within our food be absorbed, right? Insoluble fiber is more like a broom that pushes things along, so it just helps our digestive system move foods through it healthily and helps prevent things like constipation. So getting into a little more detail, how does fiber actually work within the body? Let's go back to breaking the two into specific categories. So we'll start with soluble fiber. It dissolves in water, creates that gel-like substance that slows down digestion, and this slowing of digestion aids in nutrient absorption, right? Soluble fiber also binds to cholesterol, which cholesterol is essential, but we can have too much within our bloodstream, and the fiber helps to bind to that cholesterol and eliminate it through the colon. Soluble fiber, like we said above, isn't used for energy, but it is used as food for the bacteria within our gut. And our gut takes in this soluble fiber. There's a bunch of different types of soluble fiber too. It really depends on every single type of food that has soluble fiber has a different type of soluble fiber. So it's better actually to think of soluble fiber not as one thing, but as a bunch of different things. And this is why having a diverse diet can be so important, but we'll get more to that later. But this soluble fiber is used by the bacteria in your gut as food. It's fermented. That's how they take it in. And then the bacteria release products into the digestive system and then to our bloodstream that help us. So it's really food for the things within us that aid in us. Insoluble fiber is more like that broom that pushes things through. It can get through the stomach and the stomach acid intact, which is pretty gnarly because the stomach acid is very powerful. And the bacteria within our guts don't use insoluble fiber as food. That's just soluble fiber. but it still does help to push everything through our digestive system, which is equally as important. So let's just take a quick overview of the foods that contain the different types of fiber, and we will touch on this again, but it's good to get it in your head. So plant food, from the general perspective, plant foods are always the go-to for fiber. Animal foods don't have fiber. High fat containing foods don't have fiber. It's plant foods. And when we're looking at the two different types, soluble, insoluble, soluble fiber is found in oats, beans and lentils, fruits, but more specifically apples, oranges, and berries. There are also other fruits with soluble fiber as well, grapes, plums. It's, like I said, it's within almost every type of plant food. So just picking fruits is a good option, and picking vegetables. These are just covering a few. It's also in vegetables like carrots, sweet potatoes, and Brussels sprouts, and seeds like flax and chia. Insoluble fiber is the go-to is whole grains, nuts and seeds. So nuts or seeds, the chia and flax above for the soluble. The seeds down here would be more like pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, those sort of things. Fruit skins and bananas, and as well as wheat bran. Wow, sexy. Hey, wheat bran sounds so good. So a good way to think about how do I get more fiber into my diet, the go-to is fruits and vegetables, because they will contain both insoluble and soluble fiber, as well as some of these other plant foods that I touched on above. So we already touched on how soluble fiber aids in a healthy digestive system, helps with nutrient absorption through slowing down the passage of food, and then it also feeds the gut bacteria. Insoluble fiber pushes things through, like the cleanup crew, aids in the prevention of constipation, which isn't fun. If you've had that, it really sucks. But let's take a little bit deeper dive into the cardiovascular benefits of both. So soluble fiber is really takes the center stage here. Insoluble fiber kind of just gets relegated to making bigger poos and helping with constipation, though that's no small feat. But so soluble fiber mixes with water, binds to cholesterol, moves the cholesterol out of the body through the stool. So this helps lower cholesterol levels, which is good for our cardiovascular system health. Also helps to regulate blood sugar levels by slowing the absorption of sugar into the bloodstream. Again, if things are slowing down, it's also going to do the same with as you ingest something that raises the blood sugar. If that absorption is slowed down through the ingestion of fiber as well within that meal or within that product, it's going to create a smaller spike and then a smaller, therefore, drop in the blood sugar. It's just going to help keep you more regulated or more level. Okay. There's also here too, it's worth touching on at this point, that people do react to fiber differently. So there's crazy diets out there nowadays that who hasn't heard of them, carnivore, keto, and I believe people have good reasons for going on them. I think in the mainstream, they get butchered and get way too much attention. They're kind of fringe diets, and someone in a fringe health case may find benefit to that. I'm never going to dispute that, but they're not that applicable for most people. But where am I going in this? People can individually respond to fiber very differently, right? Fiber is not an essential nutrient. If it was, there would be reason if it was. You can survive on 0 fiber a day. Is that adequate? Probably for very, very, very few people is that adequate. So we should not aim for 0, but there are some people that don't respond all that well to fiber, and there's a variety of reasons for that, but it can harm their digestive system, throw things into a whack. And if you're one of those people, you probably already know that. So I'm not saying here just full swing, you need fiber, you need this much. There is still an individual response, but for most people, there's going to be an average response. And for most people, it's very important for maintaining a good level of health. And I think you need to be discerning as you go into it, as you go into fiber, or maybe adding more fiber into your diet, because you don't want to watch this video and then think, well, geez, I must not be eating much fiber at all, start to intake a whole bunch more fiber and cause any harm to your digestive system. Go gradual, or if you're one of those people that know I can't take that much fiber in, it does some weird stuff to me, then that's totally appropriate. I'm not trying to convince you otherwise. So, with that out of the way, let's get us into some cooler stuff that fiber does. And this starts to relate to fat loss, right? So, fiber's impact on satiety. So, satiety is the feeling of being full and satisfied. And you can see why that would be so important during fat loss, because you get goddamn hungry, right? And if you've been on a fat loss diet for a while, I'm with you. I feel for you. Anything that can curb those hunger cravings is very beneficial, and fiber can help you do that, right? So one of the biggest reasons why fat loss is difficult, and certainly maintaining a calorie deficit, which is how we lose fat over periods of time, is because of human psychology and the socioeconomic environment too. But human psychology in the sense of that we get so hungry, right? On paper, fat loss is easy. Just burn more calories than you're taking in. And it's easier to lower the taking in side. So that's done through food. So just take in less food, maintain that, you're going to lose fat and lose weight. But it becomes very hard when your hunger systems are ringing up alarm bells almost 24/7. I'm sure some of you have experienced that. It's a very uncomfortable situation. So how does fiber aid us in not feeling like those alarm bells or not listening to those alarm bells 24/7? Well, remember, soluble fiber creates that gel-like substance and slows digestion, all right? The slowing of digestion is going to empty the stomach more gradually and help us feel full for longer. And that's true even if we're eating, or certainly if we're eating in a calorie deficit or less calories than normal, which allows us to lose weight. It's still going to add into that sensation of feeling fuller, right? Soluble fiber will also level out blood sugar, right? And this is important because generally blood sugar swings, and this is regardless of a calorie deficit, though again we would just want to prevent hunger more so in a calorie deficit because it's such a powerful mechanism to eat more. But when our blood sugar spikes, right, it then, like, how high it gets is how much it's going to crash generally, and that's how we feel that sensation of hunger. It's like when we eat something and we're hungry 5 seconds later, it's because of that blood sugar swing. Soluble fiber is going to help level out that huge roller coaster and make us not so susceptible to that feeling of being ravenous 5 seconds after eating things. A very cool thing about fiber too that I touched on it briefly above, but it doesn't have any calories. Like, it passes through you or is taken in by your gut bacteria, and then it's not actually broken down in the bloodstream and used for energy. So think about that. The food that we're eating that contains fiber doesn't contain, the fiber parts don't contain any calories. There's still other components, carbohydrate within the food that you eat that contains fiber, which does have calories. But most fiber-rich foods are high volume, which means they take up a lot of space in your stomach and your digestive system, but low calorie. It's again going to be very beneficial for staying full, right? For feeling full and satisfied. So when we eat fiber-rich foods, we're creating larger volumes in our stomach without additional calories. Okay. This also signals to our brain that we're satisfied, we're full, and makes us feel like we can stop eating. So this is great to help us reduce the amount of snacks we want to have, to reduce the cravings for cookies and whatnot. And this really helps us to maintain a calorie deficit, to continue losing fat and looking as good as we can. And, sometimes there's health reasons too for why we're losing the fat. So they're really valuable things. So this kind of has already touched on how fiber can help us lose fat, but does it have any role in helping us build muscle, right? Not really, right? Fiber's function really shines in helping us in the health aspects and helping us feel full and satisfied. One tangential way it does help us build muscle, or at least create the canvas for more muscle to be added to our bodies, is that fiber containing foods are generally nutrient rich foods, meaning they contain a lot of vitamins and minerals, right? So these are healthy foods because of the nutrients within them, and healthy foods ingested mean a healthy human being. A healthy human being means a greater likelihood for having the ability to build muscle. Now, does it have any amazing effect on building muscle outside of that? Not really, to be honest, right? What you need to build muscle is stimulus, which is generally done through strength training, adequate amount of protein to rebuild lean tissue or expand the amount of lean tissue within something. And those are the two biggest factors. And then a calorie surplus to continue to provide that energy to build that new tissue. But fiber doesn't really factor in there. So I'm not going to lie and say fiber is this amazing thing for muscle building, because it's really not. But what we're focused on here, we're focused on muscle and health. And obviously muscle plays that role in health. But if we want to be as healthy as possible as well, we're going to want fiber as a part of our diet. So let's get into the really practical side of things. How much fiber do we need? Where do we get it? And how do we increase it if we feel like we're deficient or we just want to add more into our diet? So for adults here, as a male, we're looking for 30 to 40 grams of fiber per day. Okay, don't worry about the quantities of insoluble versus soluble, because a diverse diet is going to include both fiber. For females, they're not too far behind. It's 25 to 35 grams of fiber per day. And again, no need to worry about the differences between insoluble and soluble fiber. If you feel like you're on the low end, the suggestion is to not increase your fiber intake too quickly, because this can, if you start to load up on beans, rice, vegetables, broccoli, you're probably going to have a lot of discomfort, and you're probably going to need to be changing your pan more regularly than you like. Probably have to be staying home a lot too. So just go slow. At 10 grams a day, you're probably, hopefully you're not in a really unhealthy state. That could be for other reasons too, but just take your time. It's not like going to 30 grams a day all of a sudden is going to magically make you feel better and enhance your whole life. It's probably just going to cause a lot of problems within your digestive system. So how do we actually increase fiber intake and slowly increase it over time? We add a small amount of vegetable to each meal, right? Go for different varieties, because again, all these different foods have different types of fiber in them, and not just from the soluble insoluble category. There's tons of different types of fibers, and different foods have different fibers. So that's good for the diversity of your bacteria in your gut. Swap your refined carbs. So this would be like your blanched stuff, your whites, so white bread, white rice, pasta, for whole grains, okay? Because those whole grains are what are going to contain the fiber. Have nuts, seeds, and fruits for snacks, and you could add in some protein there too, like a protein shake or a protein bar, but that would be a very good snack then. And then add beans a couple nights a week or every night of the week, because that has the additional benefit of increasing protein as well. So let's wrap this all up. Think of fiber as the powerhouse for overall health and being a crucial part in maintaining fat loss, because of the feeling of satiety that it provides, that feeling of satisfaction and fullness after you eat a meal. Fiber also plays very important roles in healthy digestion, a healthy cardiovascular system, and these are essential if we want to live long and live long doing the things we want. There are two types of fiber. There's the soluble fiber, which helps with digestion and feeds the gut bacteria. It also helps lower cholesterol. And insoluble fiber, which promotes regularity of bowels. We want to aim for 25 to 35 grams of fiber per day for women, and 30 to 40 grams of fiber for us guys. And make sure you're getting it from a variety of food sources, variety of vegetables, fruits, whole grains, beans, and seeds. you'll be on the right track if you have a diverse diet. Keep it slow if you're increasing fiber and you're at the low end, because this will help keep bloating and digestive discomfort to a minimum. You don't want to be crapping your pants when you're out, so take it slow. And don't think about fiber as only helping with gut health, right? It's a full body, has a full body function. It just starts in the gut and perforates from there. It's going to help in the blood sugar, going to help in the cardiovascular system, going to help with hunger hormones within the brain, right? These things are all going to help us with fat loss and staying in a calorie deficit, right? So make small changes if you need to, right? Whether you're focused on losing fat, building muscle, or just improving your health, fiber is a really good nutrient to pay attention to and to have within your diet. So not quite as cool as protein, but fiber is still a very important nutrient. And I suggest you pay more attention to it if you haven't been. Thanks for watching.